Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Hour with Kilo Charlie, veteran of the Marine Corps, 2 tours Iraq, very motivated patriot, gun store owner, gun lover, and firearms advocate. Good evening, patriots, gun lovers, and everyone in between. Welcome back to week 2 of the Freedom Hour. Starting tonight, we're going to cover HR8 markup. Liberal Democrats mark up gun control legislation. They are in the process of trying to turn a right into a privilege by marking up HR8 to HR1112, which gives the federal powers to block gun sales. So I'll give you a little rundown on HR8, which would criminalize the private transfer of firearms. Has received significant attention from gun rights communities. However, HR1112, which is purportedly targeting the inappropriate named Charleston loophole, is just an insidious attack on gun owners. Both bills were passed out of the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. HR 112 would eliminate the 3-day safety valve provision under the federal firearms background check system that prevents the government from enacting an indefinite delay of firearm purchases for law-abiding citizens. All federal firearm licensees, gun dealers, are required to conduct a background check on prospective purchasers to determine the transferring of the firearm would violate state or federal law. Under current law, if a FFL initiates a background check but does not receive a determination from National Instant Criminal Background Check System, aka NICS, within 3 business days, the FFL may proceed with the firearm transfer. After the 3-day window, the FBI continues to research the matter that gave rise to an individual's delay for 90 days after the check has been initiated. If later is determined that the person is prohibited from possessing firearms, or the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives is notified and tasked with retrieving the firearm. So you have lawmakers in Washington that are wanting to turn your right into a privilege. So this should raise the hairs on everyone's neck that certain politicians cannot be trusted, especially with marking up a bill from the Charleston loophole to any transaction purchase, whether it's private, pawn shop, gun store, or the only legal aspects, really. So, in my eyes, this is very unhinging. It's like, okay, so you find out who you can trust and who you can't trust, but then at the same time, you really can't trust either or that you're feeling right now. I think everyone needs to seriously study each politician running for a political office. There's a good chance they're going to give warning signs during or before their campaigning tours. So this is another thing that we need to make sure that does not pass. Because if it does, our rights are gone as we can see them. Which now they are trying to get smarter by not attacking the Second Amendment anymore, but avenues that approach to the Second Amendment. Another article, Democrats' National Gun Emergency, forewarned and forearmed. In the military, we have a saying, never get in your enemy's way when they are self-destructing. I cannot think of a better phrase when it comes to this insidious, absurd, and yes, stupid things from the progressive socialist left, the folks who have taken control of the Democrat Party. It is somewhat like a movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Some alien life form is taking over the bodies of these Democrats, and the insane screeching noises from their mouth is nonsense. As always, there is great contestants for this week's Old School Patriots Stuck on Stupid Saturdays recognition. And the chuckleheads who would undermine thousands of new high-paying jobs coming to NYC, but in the end, there's one thing clear, cut choice, or I think that you will agree. So now Democrats, or the socialists that have hijacked the Democrat Party, are wanting to use a national emergency to take over your possession of legal firearm ownership. Things are getting scary, but like I said earlier, we need to pretty much vet whoever you vote for. Check them out, dig up stuff on them, try to find out everything about them before you go to the polls. I hear a lot of people's like, well, this person's been running this long, I can trust them. No, it really don't work that way. There's a lot of conservatives out there that everybody thought they could trust. Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, which actually want to make deals behind closed doors, trying to say, oh, we're making this a great bipartisan decision, where it's a very, very, very bad decision that affects us. All right. Next bill is the red flag bill submitted in South Carolina. So as it says in the article, an extreme risk protection order bill has been submitted in the gun-friendly state of South Carolina. This unconstitutional red flag bill has been submitted by Democrat Representative Ivory Thigpen under H3275, entitled Seizure of Firearms and Ammunition from Persons Posing a Risk of Imminent Personal Injuries to Self or Others. You can read this bill here at www.sec.gov/sessions123_2020/bills/3275.htm. There's already 13 states that have passed these laws and that have only one intended goal: to regulate the Second Amendment and confiscate guns from people who are considered guilty until proven innocent. So my view on this so-called red flag law, it does not really determine, in my eyes, of who they are actually targeting. Are they targeting people that does not think like them, people that they say is a risk, which, hell, who the hell made them mental health professionals? Or it's just they don't like guns and they want to take them away. Which I advise everyone that's listening to write your state senator, state representative, and tell them vote no on this bill, because it is definitely not going to be anything helpful to us as gun owners. And if you need help finding your state representative's number or state senator's number, I'm pretty sure you can go on to the, or you can type their name in. I know Joe Wilson has an office. You can type in his name and go to his website and get the number. And if someone picks up, or when they do, that you can leave a message. Lindsey Graham and Joe Wilson have got back to me when I have left them messages before, so I don't really see why you should never get a reply. And if you do not get a reply, you can email them, etc. Go to their office and leave a note. All right, another article on the red flag law. Red flag laws are a threat to every law-abiding gun owner across the nation. So not only do we have to worry about it in South Carolina, you got, like I said earlier, you got 13 other states. But these red flag laws absolutely have nothing to do with targeting criminals or illegal gun owners, or any issues with mental health, which in my eyes, I think a lot of the mental health issues come from the pharmaceuticals that keep telling doctors to shove these pills down your throat because that will make you better, and I don't really see it. Most importantly, the red flag laws will do nothing to save lives. When was the last time that you have seen gun control actually do anything to save a life? Producer Dave, when has that ever actually worked? Gun control? It doesn't. It controls law-abiding citizens from protecting themselves, while criminals get to run rampant with stealing firearms, buying them illegally, or just taking them and doing whatever they want with it. So, South Carolina residents, we need to make our voices heard on this. If you have trouble locating your state senator, like I said earlier, you can get in touch with me via Facebook, Kilo Charlie, via Instagram, Kilo Charlie 15, or Twitter at Kilo Charlie Whip. All right, next we move into some great topics. The first one will be concealed carry versus open carry. Kind of hit on this a little bit last week. I'm not the open carry type of guy because I don't want to broadcast to everybody, yes, I do have a firearm. Which a lot of people look at me, it's like, you own a gun store. Don't everybody already know you own a firearm? Well, if they don't, they're sadly mistaken. So, one thing I like about concealed carry over open carry, there is no easy way for a criminal to remove a firearm off of my person if it's concealed versus if it's open. I know there's a lot of people out there that do not know how to protect their firearm, which you might be out of the moment thinking like, I got this, and this to do. I got my hands full, and guess what? Leaves it open for somebody to remove the firearm off of you. I see it happen a lot. People walking through grocery stores with both hands full, and if somebody wants to remove your firearm, it's like very easily. Because I see some people, if they drop their cell phone, they'll drop all their groceries at the same time, or they'll drop stuff going through the grocery store and have a little trail of where they're going. Seen both of them happen. So even if open carry ever did pass, I'm still not going to open carry because you also broadcasting to, like I said earlier, to all the criminals that you have a firearm. And criminals tend to pick on the weaker, meek people, which they feel like they will not have a problem taking it from. For somebody like me that stays in great physical fit and is also like Johnny Head on a swivel, always looking at my surroundings, of course they're going to leave me alone because they feel like it's going to be even harder to obtain their goal of retrieving your firearm. Alrighty, I've had a few questions asked on this. This topic is, why do I think the so-called constitutional carry, I think that the so-called constitutional carry will not pass, all because you have to look at this aspect of it. Is there any training required of it? No. That means 21-year-old never fired a firearm in his life can legally go out there, carry. Do I trust that individual? No, there's a lot of other individuals that do have licenses that I do not trust, but I do have a little bit of warm and fuzzy that they know the operation of the firearm. So I've talked with a few politicians about this, and one of them told me that it's the private sector's job to enforce proper training, which I cannot tell you that you need to go out there and do this and that you have to do it. I can make a comment saying, yes, I do think this is a good piece of training that you should obtain before you decide to carry. I also teach a lot of classes, Introduction to Pistol. Some of my students have fired firearms before, some of them have not. So in this class, I teach them the safe operations, safe gun handling, and all your safety rules. And when they come in, they feel like I'm not very proficient. I don't feel like I am good enough to carry a firearm. So after this class, it's up to 2 hours. You sit in the class, you take your range time. Everyone that has been through my class within the last 9 months comes out with a smile on their face and tells me, thank you for teaching me all this, because before I did not feel as confident as I do now with a firearm in my hand. And knowing the basic fundamentals will also put you further ahead with firing a firearm than just picking one up and say, all right, I'm going to shoot it. Because I see it a lot. People do not use the proper sight alignment, sight picture, which guess what? People shoot my baffles, they shoot my floor, shoot my walls. I don't know how they do it, but that is why I think SLED or these politicians should approach CWP instructors, shooting instructors, gun store or gun ranges and say, what can we do to make this bill pass? I'm not saying that training makes everything, but it does give you a foothold to build from. I have some people take CWP. I see them in the range maybe once or twice a month. Some of them I see once a week, or some of them I'm never seeing the range again. Another thing that does not bother me, or it kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it, if you had to qualify once a year, which it shows if you're practicing whether you have your proficiency or not, because if you do have to use this firearm in self-defense and you go out there and shoot during a self-defense situation and you miss, anything you hit that you are held liable for. So prepare for a big lawsuit on your end. So, like I said, I'm not that fond of open carry, but I do want more gun rights. But at the same time, we need to have the proper training. Keyword proper, not lowest of the low training that we can get. Because if you got the proper everything, you know your laws, you know where you can and can't take it, then you will never have to worry about a lawsuit whatsoever. And if you do, things should be in your favor, depending on the type of judge you have. Because some of them tend to be red and other ones tend to be blue. Some love guns, some hate guns. Some love gun owners, some hate gun owners. Simple as that. So next topic, I decided to bring this one to light. The SIG 365 versus the Glock 43x. What are my thoughts? I've shot both of these pistols. Both of them are great platforms. Both of them have the capacity that everybody desires, which, like me, I still like to stick to my little old 380, which everybody laughs at me about it, but I'm comfortable with it, comfortable carrying it, comfortable firing it, and I'm very proficient with it. It's just lighter weight and less things that get snagged on coming out of my pocket. All right, so the SIG 365, I fired it. I loved it. Still has that SIG feel of all the other SIGs that I have to get used to, since I fire more Glocks than I do anything else. But it's a great pistol. I think SIG is finally broken into the concealed carry aspect with the 365 away and kind of moving away from the 238, which is your hammer fire pistol, compared to your striker fire. So with the Glock 43X, it's a great platform. I'm not too fond of the two-tone, but a lot of people like the color. I prefer it to be black or Cerakote with American flag design over it, or the Don't Tread on Me flag. Something like that kind of grabs my eye. But I think the SIG has the advantage with the trigger pull, but then at the same time, at the end of the day, I got the more comfortability from the Glock feel. I like the Glock's stippling grip, or the pistol grip feel of it over the SIG. I've owned one SIG in my life. That was the SP2022, which is a great pistol. It's more of a mid-sized pistol. We have one for sale up here for less than $500 if you're looking for a SIG for under $500. But I think at the end of the day, with the reliability and durability of Glock and the easier to field strip, Glock, the 43 pulls out the win at the end of the day in my book. All right, so we are now getting into our Q&A segment. So we have a few of them this week, which is a good thing. I always like answering questions. So tonight's first question is from Wes from Lexington, South Carolina. He says, what are your thoughts on personal carry calibers? An example, 380, 9mm, 40, or 45. Like I said earlier, I prefer the 380. I like the feel of the 380 when I'm firing the firearm. I also like the 9mm. But one thing I look at is because I carry from when I wake up at 6 in the morning until 11 at night, the weight aspect of it and how it feels in my pocket or in my hand as much as I handle it. So everybody laughs, says, yes, 380. What can you do with it? Well, 380, when placed properly, will put somebody down just as quick as a 45 will. But a lot of that bases on your preference. If you don't know which one is your preference, come on out to the range. We have 380s to try out, 9mm, 40 and 45. I used to be a 40 guy until I started shooting all these other calibers. 40 just has too much muzzle pressure in my book. I've been on the range beside other people with 40 cals, and you can feel the percussion off of each round, which can kind of be annoying depending on my mood at the time, but usually it doesn't affect me. I like 9mm also, but it also just resorts back to which one are you more comfortable with, or how many rounds do you want to carry on you, etc. Next question is from Tiffany from Gilbert, South Carolina. She says, what caliber rifles can be fired at your gun range? Any of your common rifles from 22 up to 308, aka 7.62 by 51. If you have one of those that is an odd caliber, just call me at 803-358-0305 and bring it to my attention, and we'll make a determination then and there on the spot. Next question comes from Sean out of Lexington, South Carolina. He says, what's the process to order a rifle and have it shipped to you with your FFL? So, with that being said, if you find any rifle online, pistol, shotgun, you can order it, but you also have to let the dealer you're buying it from know where the firearm is being sent to. So in that aspect, just get me their email address. I can email them, send them over my FFL, and then it is shipped to my location for you to pick up, and the cost of that is $25. Next question comes from Sasha out of Columbia, South Carolina. She asked, what are the laws for carrying guns to and from a range without having a concealed carry permit? South Carolina law states if you do not have a concealed carry permit, that they have to be in the glove box, center console, or behind the rearmost seat of SUV, station wagon, or truck. Or if you have a car that has a trunk, you can transport them in the trunk. But if it is not for self-defense, it should be unloaded during any aspect of the firearm's life until you decide to go to the range and enter the range, then load it on the range. Do all your firing, unload it, make sure it's clear, and then back to your vehicle it goes unloaded. Unless you don't have a concealed carry permit, but you're thinking about one, it still has to be the pistol has to be in the glove box or center console if you are carrying it for defense while inside of your vehicle. Last question of the night comes from Tiffany out of Gilbert, South Carolina. She asked, what are the requirements and costs, if any, of owning and purchasing a suppressor? Well, this one is a lot more tedious than coming in and purchasing a pistol. So the requirements are, you have to pay a $200 tax stamp, which you have to file for. So that costs, like I said, is $200. Then you have to pick out the suppressor that you feel like you would like to own, which they range anywhere from $400 up to $2,000, depending on the one you pick. Then you have to file your paperwork and get your fingerprints done. And then you send all your paperwork to ATF for the purchase, letting them know you are purchasing a suppressor. This can take anywhere from, I've heard, 3 months up to a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So that concludes our great podcast tonight. Just remember, we're making America great again. So the sponsorships for tonight are from Kilo Charlie Shooting Range, your favorite and most fun gun range in South Carolina. Come on down and check us out. If you have not been here, we would love to have you here and greet you with a great smile and open arms. Next sponsor is by Cooper Lawn and Pest Control. If you need your lawn taken care of and some of the pests taken out of your yard, call good old Dave out at Cooper Lawn and Pest Control. He's one guy that I trust with my yard. Tonight, our final sponsor is by Carl Craps Tire Service. For all your car care needs, ranging from tires to oil changes to brakes, take it on down to Carl Craps Tire Service and tell them Kilo Charlie sent you. It was a great talk with everybody tonight, and look forward to y'all tuning in next week.